Welcome back to Terpy, back with another weekly video for the channel. We're here in the 6-light grow room, which we're going to be using as the Blem genetics testing room for going forward. If you saw last week's video about all the troubles of the plants staying alive in this building, we have since put an ozone generator in this location. Ran it for 3 or 4 days in both this room and the grow tent room upstairs, just to kill off any odors that might be coming from the paint or mold, different viruses that are in here. We have fully cleaned the location since then, and as you can see, it's pretty empty in here. We have got rid of the under canopy lights that we had installed in the part 2 video that you guys did see. You'll see an updated version of those being installed later in this video, which is the flexstar Gen 2 lights. We have the flexstar 720 watt LED lights above me, along with the flexstar clone lights, which are 18 watts each. We have 3 on each row. Some people say that's too much light for clones. Really, you guys got to remember, the amount of light you're giving your plant is not based off the distance. If you have a par meter, you know exactly how much your lights are providing for the plant at which level. Just basing your lights off of a distance from the plant is not the proper way to say your lights are too strong or not strong enough. Get a par meter, you'll know exactly how much your plants are receiving at a specific location. That's how we determine if the plants are receiving the proper amount of light for which stage of growth. So here is one of the ozone generators that I was using. This puts out, I think, 80 grams of ozone every minute, I believe. I have 2 of these. I ran one in here and one in the grow tent room upstairs, along with leaving all the doors open for the building, so all that ozone transferred into the stairwells and hallways also, to really clean up this entire place. You can see we got all the clutter out of here, so we have nothing left and we can really build out this location. You guys mentioned about the doors being in very bad condition, which in part 1 I did mention those will be replaced. So we have since taken those off the hinges and removed them from the building completely. Inside our irrigation room, we have everything cleared out. In this video, we will be connecting these irrigation pipes to the RO system for our water reservoirs. So we have a air-conditioned room that has water storage in it. Many of you guys commented I should be using a RO system. Clearly you didn't watch the video before commenting, because we do have a RO system in each of the rooms, one system for each room itself. So we have 2, one for here and one for the grow tent room. It's all being plumbed in properly. We just have to add our T's for these 3 reservoirs. One will be our nutrient reservoir, and these will be just RO storage tanks. Okay, so we're up here in the grow tent room, which is the vivosun sponsored room. We have the 2 4x4 grow tents in their proper location now. We have taken care of all the mold in this area. Here is the ozone generator that I use for this room. It's a little bit smaller. This one puts out 60 grams per minute, I believe. Between the 2, one in this room and one downstairs, we covered this entire building nicely. You can just see how clean it is in here now. We have removed this 4x4 grow tent, which we have featured in the previous video at a different location where the plants are being held and are improving their health, being at that other building. So definitely is this location, or it's something in the water source, which will be determined when we bring plants back in here in the next couple days to give it another try. We will be adding 3 flexstar clone lights to each of these shelves, just like you saw in the 6-light room. So we'll have a clone rack up here and a clone rack downstairs. Later in this video, you'll be seeing a 4x8 grow tent setup right here with 2 lights. And then later on, once we confirm this building is able to grow plants in here, we'll bring that 4x4 grow tent back from the other building and put it in this location. So we'll be able to do our Blem genetics breeding in here. 3 different projects all at once. So you guys will have a lot of selection to choose from in the future once those become available. So let's head back down to the 6-light grow room, where we'll start installing our under canopy lighting, which is the Gen 2 flexstar. Okay, so we've completed the installation of the Gen 2 flexstar under canopy lights behind me. We have 2 per light, which is the ideal environment that you want to be giving your plants from under canopy lighting. It does increase yields from anywhere from 20 to 50% depending on the strain and your growing style. So I highly recommend getting those incorporated into your current grow space, or if you're building out a new space, make sure that those are added to your plan because they are lost yields if you don't have those included. Off camera, I did get my heaters installed. There's one right here, which is connected to a humidity controller. I have it plugged into the dehumidification mode. So anytime our humidity goes above, it's currently set at 75. So once it's above 75, which is currently 81, it would turn on. Currently I have them turned off just because the rooms aren't running right now. But when that triggers the dehumidification to go on, the heater turns on, which heats up the air in the room slightly and then turns on our air conditioning. This heater, combined with the one at the back in the corner over there, offsets the cooling that comes out of the air conditioning. So all it's doing with the air conditioning on is dehumidifying the air in the room. You want to size your heater, or heaters in this case, 2 of them, to the size of the 3-ton air conditioning, depending on your growing environment in your grow room. We have the 3-ton air conditioning system, and then we have a 1500 watt electric heater there and a 1500 watt electric heater here. We're gonna do some experimentations on seeing what level heat we need to offset the temperature correctly. If we leave it on level 1 or level 2, we might have to have one of them on level 2 and one on level 1, but we'll see once that comes in the future. Give you a closer look at the one at the back over here. Same exact thing, set up above the light. There is a fan in here which blows the air that way, which will get sucked into our ceiling fan in the center and circulate the air throughout the room. We have its own humidity controller connected over here. Also, I zip tied the under canopy lights to our pots. These are square pots about 8 inches tall, which gives us ideal height to get above the pots where our plants will be, and then a good distance to our under canopy of our plants to really produce higher yields at the lower sections of the plant. I have also added under the table air circulation. So we have a 9-inch clip fan connected to the rolling bench here. And then all the way over there in the other corner, see if I can zoom in, we have another one. I'm still unsure if I'm going to set these on oscillation mode or just pointed in a general direction that way, and the other one pointed in a general direction this way to create a nice vortex around the grow room under the tables, because we want our airflow to travel like this around, and we'll have air circulation coming from the center of the room between the tables and then each side between the walls also. So we'll have great air circulation here with the placement of all the fans in here. We might also add a 6-inch clip fan on these poles. There'll be 3 here, 1, 2, 3, and then 3 over there, 1, 2, 3, for air circulation between the lights and the bottom of the canopy, just so we have all areas covered when it comes to air circulation in here. With the room not running at all, it's at 86 degrees Fahrenheit and 81% relative humidity in here. It is a pretty rainy day, so it is much cooler than a normal day here in Thailand, but obviously the humidity is pretty intense. So in this video, I'm gonna jump between this grow room and the room above, which is the grow tent room. So we're gonna head up there, install a 4x8 grow tent, entire setup with 2 lights, under canopy lighting, and the fans and carbon filters and whatnot that goes into a grow tent setup. Then we'll come back down in here and set up our pulse hub with all of its sensors, including the moisture content sensors. Okay, so we're up here in the vivosun grow tent room. You can see that I've moved the 2 4x4 grow tents back to their original location. I have since got this room pretty cleaned up and a little bit more organized. We do have our humidifier that we will be installing in this video. We'll be putting that up in this location. We will have a 4x4 grow tent here, like I mentioned earlier, just at the other location, storing the plants right now, keeping them nice and healthy. The 2 4x4s are here up against the window. We did clean up the back vinyl. So this room is pretty clean. We got everything ready. We got our hole going into the water source room over there, and we'll have our reservoirs located in this room, 2 of them right here. Got a bunch of different equipment here, all from vivosun, so big shout out to vivosun for supporting the channel. Along the way, you can use the discount code Terpy guys on their website, along with the Amazon link will be provided in the video description. So we got a bunch of different products here. We got seedling mats for our clones, different controllers for the things. We got 2 portable heaters, which we have installed already in our 6 light room downstairs. We'll be utilizing these 2 up in this room, just like we are going to be using it downstairs. We got our 2 grow lights there for a 4x8 setup. They're the exact same lights as these 2. So we'll have all 4 of those in this location. And then what we're going to be starting on in this room is a 4x8 grow tent, which will be located right here once fully installed. I have never done a 4x8, so I'll set you guys up on the time lapse so you can see how much I struggle with doing this by myself. And then we'll check back in once I'm completed that. Okay, so after some struggling, I did get the 4x8 grow tent set up. This is the vivosun Pro line. I'm very surprised and glad to see the quality of this tent compared to other tents on the market. I'm actually very blown away. Fabric feels much thicker than the usual. I think it is a little bit thicker than the normal standard 4x4s. So this is the Pro version. It also comes with this high CFM support beams that go all the way around the middle of the tent. That way, if you have a large fan, which I think we're going to be putting an 8-inch inline fan up here for exhausting the air out of the tent, it'll be sucking in the walls to prevent the walls from coming in and touching your plants. They have now offered this high CFM kit. We did get a couple extra of those kits over here. High CFM kit right there. And then on the other side is the picture of the poles. These ones are adjustable, I believe. I haven't got these ones open yet, but we got one of those for each of the 4x4s also, so we'll be upgrading these tents along the way. That is actually a great feature because in my time-lapse videos showing the plants from seed to harvest, if I don't have the inline fan, exhaust fan, always on constantly, it sucks the tent walls in and out on video and makes it very unappealing for you guys to watch. So I always have to have my exhaust fan on a certain speed 24/7 all the time to make the video look proper. This way I might be able to set the inline fan to a temperature range and be able to have the fan go on and off like it should be normally. I sometimes have to sacrifice the environment controls to make proper videos that are enjoyable to watch. So this will be a good thing to see how these support poles work out. Fits in here perfectly. We still have access to the door nicely. We'll have our 2 reservoirs here. So a nice walkway in and out of the space, no problem. A good open area in the center for our clone rack. Do some transplanting, maintenance on the plants in the center. And then our other 2 grow tents over there. Still a lot of space. As you can see, these tiles are 2 feet by 2 feet, so our other 4x4 grow tent will take up this space, which isn't much. We still have a nice access over here. We can get to our door on to the outside over there with ample room to continue our projects in this space. So let me continue assembling this 4x8 grow tent for you guys to watch, and then we'll eventually be able to get started growing in here. Okay, so I finished completing the 2 grow lights in here. Each of them are 650 watt grow lights from vivosun. Very nice design, modular. So the box is pretty small when you receive it for shipping. Just needs to be assembled. These light bars just click into the ballast. Each one of these sides of the lights has a ballast in it, which powers 3 of these bars. And then the other side has another ballast in it, which powers the other half of the light. So nice modular design. We got 2 of them in this 4x8. You can see that it takes over the entire canopy perfectly. The same space between these 2 bars is exactly the same amount as between the 2 different lights. We have light all the way to the edge of the tent, which is what you want. Some lights recommend having a little bit smaller of a light, and then you're left with a 6-inch gap between the edge of the light and the tent wall, which is not what you want, because as there's less bars here to overlap each other, there will be less PPFD closer to the wall. So you want your light bar, your last one, right up against the tent for perfect PPFD across your entire canopy in the growing space. We did install 2 clip fans at the bottom here. We are just waiting on 2 more that will be installed up here, one here and here, for air circulation above the canopy, and these 2 will provide air circulation for under the canopy. So we have our airflow going this way under the canopy, and then above it will be pointed from there, pointed this way. We are waiting on a 8-inch carbon filter and fan setup to be installed into the top of the tent right there. Just got delayed in shipping. So this tent is looking pretty good so far. Our next step will be installing these flexstar under canopy lighting. These are their Gen 2s. We have installed these already in the 6 light room downstairs, but we're gonna utilize them in this grow tent space also. We'll have 2 in here, 2 in here, and then 4 in here. So let's jump into the time lapse of installing these under canopy lights in the 4x8 grow tent. Okay, so I got quite a bit of work done. Hope you guys like that time lapse of me just banging out a bunch of different work that needed to be accomplished. So we'll take a quick look at the 4x8 now that it's all lit up. We got the 4 under canopy lights, which are from flexstar. Each bar is 120 watts. So we got 4 of those. We got the 2 clip fans down there for air circulation under the canopy. We got the 650 watt LED lights above, 2 of those. I still need to get a metal plate here to be able to have this mounted correctly right here. I don't know why I misplaced that piece, so we'll have to update that. Also, we got the Pulse Pro zip tied here on a good location right where the canopy should be around. So it'll give us good readings of our CO2 levels, humidity, all that stuff, temperature. Our vivosun hub here has the sensor right in the center of the grow room or grow tent. We'll also have a THCP sensor connected to our Pulse hub, which we'll be installing tomorrow when I get back to the room. And then we'll put that sensor somewhere on this side of the tent. That way we have sensors in each location, on the left side, in the middle, and on the right side. Over here on the dual 4x4s, we got the 2 under canopy lights per tent there, 650 watt lights on each of those. Not much has changed since I've used these complete setups in the other grow room before we moved to this location. We have added the Pulse Pro. I like this high CFM kit that we installed here. This is adjustable, so I like to push the poles out a little bit farther. That gives us a bunch more room and makes the tent walls much tighter. So therefore, when I'm doing my time-lapse videos from seed to harvest, the tent walls won't be sucking in and out like they have done in the past, making the video a little bit unappealing. Both these setups are exactly the same, nothing's changed. We got this 6-inch clip fans, Pulse Pro, 2 lights, 650 watt light, a 6-inch carbon filter, and an inline fan. Tomorrow's job will be getting this Pulse hub connected. I already have the water content sensors ran into these 2 grow tents. I'll add another one in here, and then we will leave one right here for the 4x4 that we will be doing later on. Maybe we'll get to the 2 reservoirs right here where we'll be installing the pH sensor and EC sensors for the Pulse hub. We still need to install the humidifier, which will be going right above our reservoirs in that location. Good progress on this room so far. Keep you guys updated as we go. Maybe tomorrow we'll also get to all these vivosun seedling mats, which will be going on each of these shelves along with down in the 6 light room on our clone rack in that room also. Okay, so it's the next day. We're back in the 6 light room now, starting off the day with the Pulse hub install along with the Pulse Pros, Pulse 1 and Pulse 0 here. One thing I've made a mistake in the past when installing the Pulse hub is fully connecting everything and then realizing that I need to input each one of these sensors into the network. So what you want to do is you want to plug your power into the unit, connect it to your Wi-Fi network, get the app working on your phone, and then you want to plug each of your sensors into the network port, and then on the Pulse app, it will prompt you to scan the QR code for each sensor. So once this is plugged in, you can scan the QR code, and then that sensor is done. You'll unplug this, and then you'll grab your next sensor, plug this into the same port, scan the QR code that's on each of the sensors, and do that with every single sensor that you have that you'll be running off the single Pulse hub unit. So right now we have our EC sensor, our pH sensor, 2 THV sensors, and then we have 2 water content sensors. So we'll do all of those sensors connected to the network port, scan them in with the QR codes, and then we'll be able to install this on the wall, put it in its permanent location, and then run the single cable going around the room, teeing off using these tees to tee off to each of the sensors around the room. So I'll get all that done, and then I'll update you guys once that's all completed, and then we'll move on to putting our Pulse Pros in different locations in the room along with the Pulse 0 and Pulse 1. Okay, so we're continuing this project onto the clone rack. You just see the time lapse of me putting this together. I did put the lights in, but I didn't show you guys that I put the seedling mats on. These are heated mats from vivosun. I got one on each shelf. They are 48 inches by 20 inches, cover the entire area. They're a little bit big for this shelving rack, but we'll make it work. We also have a temperature and control module over here. That way we can increase the heat or lower it according to our temperature settings for each of the rows. So it does have a temperature sensor here that we put inside the dome and just suction cup it to the side. That way we don't overheat our growing area. Each row has 3 flexstar LED lights on it. Each of them are 18 watts each. If we're doing seedlings, we want all 3 on with our seedlings about halfway up, which is about 8 to 10 inches away from the lights. If we're doing rooted clones, we'll power off 2 of these lights and just have a single one while they root. Once they have roots established, we'll turn on 2 of them. And then once they are fully rooted and considered into early veg, we'll turn all 3 on before we transfer them into the grow tents, which is right next to them. We got 3 on each row. I unfortunately misplaced or missing 2 brackets for the 3rd bar down here. So it's just sitting up here right now until we find those brackets again. So we're gonna move on to the next project, which is installing our humidifier here. I already have the masking tape on the back of it. Easy way to line up your holes is put your tape on the top edge of your mounting area so you know that it's level, and then use a marker to mark the tops of your mounting brackets right there. And then you can take this off of here and put it onto your wall wherever you want to mount it. We're going to be mounting it here to the left of this column. That way our tent, our 4x4 tent, will be located right here. We'll have plenty of room to spread that humidity across the room. Once it hits our ceiling fan, it'll perfectly circulate everywhere. So let me jump onto the stool here and mount this pretty high up in the room just so it can be above the grow tents. And then that's our next project. We have our concrete bit here, since our walls are concrete, and our anchors, plastic anchors, and our screws to mount it into the wall. So I'll set you up on the time lapse and get that done. Okay, so I don't know where we left off with this video, but I'm just gonna give you guys a quick update on both the 6 light room and the grow tent room upstairs, and then we'll end out the video. So I did do a bunch of work off of camera, so that's why I'm a little confused on where the video ended up. Okay, so over here on the clone rack, we got heated mats installed on each of the levels. These are from vivosun, 2 feet by 48 inches by 20 inches. A little bit big for this size racking, but they cover the entire area. We still need to connect the temperature control on this one. We ended up getting a second Zeus two-channel controller. That way we can connect one to this side and then one on this side, so we can control the upper lights and the under canopy lights separately. In the grow tents currently, I have them daisy chained together. So when I dim the lights above, it dims the under canopy lighting. And I really don't like that feature because we can go a little bit stronger with the under canopy lighting when the plants get a little bit too close to the light. So that's one thing that I'm gonna have to change in the future in the grow tent room. But for here, with these 2 controllers, we'll have them all individually controlled. We ended up getting the pulse hub completed in here. We have a 3T section right here to go into our irrigation room. We have the pH sensor, the EC sensor, and the THV sensor. These 2 will go into the water reservoir. I just have them out right now because I just completed hooking up the RO water feed lines to each of the tanks. So we have a shut off right before it goes into the tank, and then inside we also have the float valve to shut it off automatically when the water does get too high. The reason for the shut-offs on this side is because these will be RO water and this will be our feed tank. So I don't want the pressure going against the float valve all the time, just in case there's an issue. That will save us from any floods in here. Over here, I ended up started to get the UV light filter hooked up to our RO system here, which I'll just zip tie it on top of the system right here, and then we'll be disinfecting our water once this is connected. Unfortunately, while trying to install that, I ended up breaking this glass tube, so I ordered 2 more just to have extra. So that'll be here in a couple days. So that is gonna end my work for today in this place. But I think I got a good amount done, so I can go home and relax for a little bit. So let's head up. Actually, I also installed the Pulse Pros around here. So I got one right here, and then over there, I have another one in the corner, and on the right-hand side, I have another one. So we got 3 of those. The Pulse Pros give us our CO2 readings in different locations. That way it allows us to know that we have no microclimates in any of these areas. I did get 9-inch fans installed under the under the tables. Before I had one in the corner over there and one here pointed like that and this way. I've decided to put 4 of them here, so there's one there, and then on the other side, one here and one right there. And they're pointed out from the center of the room. Because our ceiling fan pushes the air down, I want the air to go like this in the room, under, around the walls, and then back up. So it'll be a nice vortex around the room like a donut. Another thing we're gonna be adding shortly, they're in the shipping right now, is I'm gonna have clip fans right here, just a little bit higher than the under canopy lighting to push air through this section. So we'll have air movement under the table, in between the tops of the tables and the lower portion of the plant. We'll have airflow, and then we have the ceiling fan for airflow above the canopy. Great little setup in here. Be interesting to see how much genetics we pump out of here and what kind of phenotypes we find. We do have a moisture content sensor, one for each table currently, connected to the pulse hub. In the future, I will add 4 more of those so I can have one for each light, because this will be a pheno hunting room. So I plan on having 1 light per pheno in the future. That way we can hunt 9 strains at a single time, or we can do monocrops in here. So let's head up to the grow tent room, take a look at what was accomplished up there. Okay, so we're here up in the grow tent room now for the vivosun equipment. Our dual 4x4 setups, believe I've already shown this. We got the high CFM kits installed on each of them. Each grow tent has a pulse hub, which is amazing. That way we know exactly what's going on in each of the grow tents. We got the flexstar under canopy lighting already set up. Moisture content sensor in every grow tent. Fan airflow under the canopy. Fan above for airflow above the canopy. We got a THV sensor in the center of each room, along with a temperature and humidity sensor that is connected to the vivosun grow hub. So that gives us opportunity to see all the different data, and we can cross-reference it just to make sure the sensors are correct, along with different spaces like over here and then in the center of the room. Our clone rack, same treatment we did downstairs in the 6 light room. We got the vivosun heating mats for seedlings. We got the flexstar clone lights, 3 on each row. Unfortunately down here I'm missing 2 of the brackets to connect this to the shelf down here, so we're gonna have to figure out a way to solve that, or flexstar will send me 2 more. We'll see how that goes. We got our CO2 tanks here set up, ready to go. We're gonna use 2 of these down in the 6 light room, so we'll have 2 up here and 2 downstairs. These are what we're gonna use for the CO2 controls right now. Just something simple until we do an upgrade where we're gonna introduce the Pinnacle monitors, which we use in the commercial facility. I just don't have the money right now to shell out to get that stuff over here, so we will do that in the future. We have a THV sensor to tell us what's going on in pretty much the lung room in the center of this space. In our 4x8 vivosun grow tent, we got the same under canopy lighting, THV sensor in the center, the vivosun grow hub sensor right there, and we will have the the moisture content sensor for the growing medium there. Same lights we're running in all the grow tents right now. The 4x4 that will be going here in the near future is a slightly different light, but everything else is the exact same. It will have the under canopy lighting and all that. We did get installed our humidifier up here along with the pulse hub. This is the central unit right here, and this network cable just goes around the room to every location where we have our sensor and tees off. Pretty simple setup. I highly recommend putting the pulse hub in any of your grow spaces. All right guys, that's all the time I have for this week's video. Let me know in the comments what you think about both these grow spaces and any changes that you might want to see happen in these spaces over time, as I will be making some changes just to optimize everything and see what works and what doesn't work. Let me know also what kind of strains you want to see in these grow spaces, or any crosses that you're excited to see. Until next time, happy growing everyone, and remember to get out there and make it happen.